Well, hello, everybody. So we have a little bit of an addendum that we're going to add on to this episode. Obviously, we're having the bulk of the episode is going to be our discussion with Kai Parker, catching up with her after, not having been able to do so for quite a while. That being said, we did get news immediately after this episode that there was a Nintendo Direct slated for what is now today, which is February the 8th. With all that being said, we felt like it made a lot of sense to delay the release of this episode by one day, release it on Thursday, just so that we had an opportunity to go in and add some context around anything that we felt like was relevant to this podcast that was revealed in that Direct. And it turns out that there actually were quite a few things. So with all that being said, we are going to get to that discussion at the end of this episode. We're going to go ahead and roll tape on the stuff that we managed to talk about with Kylie, and then stay tuned after that for a discussion with just Matt and I about what we're getting into with this Nintendo Direct that dropped today. Welcome to Sacred Realms. It's a great day in Hyrule, y'all. Welcome to Sacred Realms, a Zelda Retrospective Podcast. I'm your host, Lyndon Willoughby. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Matt Willoughby. It is the final episode of the season, Matt.
Is it the final episode of the season, or are we doing one more? I don't.
It's the final episode of the season.
So we're starting the new game next week.
Yes, next week, 1 week from today, you will be listening to, you the listener, will be listening to Season 8, Episode 1, covering the first chapter of A Link Between Worlds.
Now, Lyndon, you know the Super Bowl is this Sunday.
Well, we may just have to record on Monday, Matt.
Well, okay, fine. Okay. As long as you're taking into account that.
It's a manageable chunk of game. I don't think you're going to have a problem. I played it last night.
Okay.
I played it last night.
I mean, I would like to play it. My copy of the game is currently sequestered at our parents' house, which is not too far away, luckily, so I'm going to have to go find that and
I will say
dig it out.
Yeah. No one likes that. I will say that my experience with it, just a little teaser, I got done with my chunk of the game, and it was midnight, and I didn't want to put it down. I wanted to just continue blazing that trail forward. And I chose not to for the sake of having accurate memories 2 weeks down the line, right?
Yeah. No, that's fair. And that's what you want from your games. And that's how I felt about most of the games that we have played for the pod. So I'm excited to get back into that after a short 1 week break.
Yep. Love to hear it. But of course, that begs the question, what are we doing with this last episode, this bonus episode? How are we choosing to spend our time wrapping up this season? The answer to that question is that we are
burning cigar wrappers,
which is
what
Matt's doing
currently.
I'm doing something a little more constructive. What we've chosen to do with this time is to bring on an old favorite who has been absent from the pod for just a little while. We've been meaning to have her back on for some time, and tonight it has finally lined up for all of us. Ladies and gentlemen, I am thrilled, absolutely thrilled, I tell you, to welcome back to the pod Kai Parker, a.k.a. Dangerous Pixels, a.k.a. Captain Dangerous. Kylie, how you doing?
Hello, my friends. I have missed you guys.
We missed you.
It's been too long. It has been too long. Unfortunately, our last attempt at a recording was because my home decided to lose power at a very inconvenient time. So, again, like I know I had talked to you guys a little bit earlier. We randomly lost power. We had a blizzard for the first time in 15, 20 years. Didn't lose power at all. No power loss, nothing. But it got a little windy a week ago. Little windy, 20, 25 hour winds, lost power. So I don't know if that's a good gauge of our our power system here, but clearly it withstands a blizzard. But
well, we had.
I was about to say that's not the experience we have.
Well, we had a bout of snowy, icy weather last week, and the power grid fared much better this time than it did last time that happened. So
yeah, well, I was completely shocked. Like I was terrified because I was over at my in-laws for Christmas, and we're having a blizzard, right? I'm like, oh my gosh, like I have a snake, I have a ball python, like I'm like, oh my gosh, is this heating gonna go bad? Like, what about my cats? Like, I was like freaking out. Didn't lose power at all, no. But a week ago, we randomly lose power because the wind hit above 20 miles per hour.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, really? Is it fair?
No, it's not. Yeah, power outages are always frustrating. They're a little less. No, yeah, they're a little less common at apartment complexes, I think. But whereas I had the wonderful experience today of a fire drill in the middle of one of my meetings.
Nice.
And
classic.
Yeah. So, and of course, it was even more classic that as soon as I got outside, like literally, I was outside for 30 seconds, and then they were like, "All right, you can go back in." And I was like, "Are you like?" Half the people aren't even out of the building. Like there are 10 people standing out here. What are you talking about? I was like, oh, it was a false alarm. Like, oh, thank you. It's wonderful.
And within 30 seconds, they were like, oh, yeah, it's not.
Yeah, exactly. Good enough. Some of you made it out. Not everyone died. We're fine.
It's literally the Shrek bit where he's like, some of you may die, but it's a sacrifice
I am willing to make. Oh man, that's an excellent movie.
Well, it's a great movie, Matt. I'm mostly just happy that there were no fatalities suffered in your fire drill.
Well, that I know of. They might happen on the other side of the complex,
okay,
but for me, I didn't witness any dead bodies. So there you go.
Well, praise be. I am glad that you were okay.
We truly love to hear it, Kai. It has been a minute since you've been on the show, and I was actually going back. It's been so long that I had to go back and look at episode descriptions and be like, when did we have Kai on the show last?
I know. It's so frustrating.
Right. So we had so I went back and looked. The last time that we had you on was during the Link to the Past season. And that means that we have covered Breath of the Wild, The Legend of Zelda, Zelda 2, and The Wind Waker in the time since you've been on.
God.
Yeah.
Yes, I have truly aged like 50 years in you saying that. So
so have we, honestly. Yeah, that's a lot of
Zelda 2 gave us at least 15 years.
Yeah, Zelda 2 is the main chunk of that.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, my hair, I actually have white hair now. Like, actually speaking truthfully, I have white bangs, like white hair. So that truthfully speaks to where we're at right now. I've aged that much.
Well, based on your social media pictures, it looks fantastic. You wear it well.
Yeah, it's a real rogue sort of thing.
Ooh,
it's nice.
Good comparison.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rogue was my go-to. She's like one of my favorite characters. So I decided, because like my hair was coming in white to begin with. So I was like, oh, just embrace it. Just go all white. Let's go.
So I just want to catch you up real quick on what has happened on the podcast from just a ranking of the games standpoint since you've been gone.
Yeah. Please do.
And I'm curious to hear your thoughts about it as I read through this ranking, because on our Discord community, we have actually had some lively discussion about this week. And
me specifically has gotten some flack on this.
Well, you and the detective are equally culpable for what you did,
but most people blame me. Let's be clear.
Wait, Matt, are you the one being flacked for?
Yes.
You're the one being famous? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right. I'm curious. I want to hear. Let's go.
So here's the ranking as it stands right now. Number 8 is The Adventure of Link. No surprises there, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Number 7 is The Legend of Zelda.
Okay.
Number 6 is A Link to the Past.
Mm-hmm.
Number 5 is Link's Awakening.
Okay.
Number 4 is The Wind Waker.
Okay.
Number 3 is Skyward Sword. Number 2 is Ocarina of Time. And number 1 is Breath of the Wild.
Ooh, I have contingencies. I have to
Lay it on us, Kai.
Right.
Just off the cuff.
Do we want to do our intro first and then get into that, or
You know what? That's a really good idea. I was ready to just dive right into it. But with all that being said, if you didn't know, Sacred Realms is a weekly re-examination of The Legend of Zelda, one little slice at a time. Sacred Realms drops every Wednesday and is available on all major podcast networks. Every week we play a new section of a Zelda game, then we sit down here to talk and to drop our hot takes. If that sounds fun to you, please head over to Apple Podcasts, hit that subscribe button, and be sure to leave us a review. 5-star reviews are greatly appreciated, and they have a chance to get a shout out here on the show. If you want more Sacred Realms in your life, you can head on over to patreon.com/Sacred Realms Pod to get access to our Discord channel, listener mail, vote on what game we play next, and so much more. Of course, one of the benefits that Master Sword patrons and above get is that we read their names every week here on the show. Those legendary individuals are Shepherd Street, Theodore, Matthew, Chris, Daniel, Fallout 907, Kelso, Tiffany the Star, Daxel, Patrice, Stephanie, Darknuck, Brian, George, Mike, Dylan, Allie, Lennon, Melanie, Kolku, Aiden, Rowan, Josh, Nick, Dante, Gep, Brittany, Davey, Haru the Mighty, Derek, Albert, Mark, Andy, Cameron, Ben, Daniel, Nick D_TV, Travis, Christian, Jonathan, Hyrule Interviews, aka Max Nichols, Garrett, and Drew. These are the most wonderful of individuals. We could not make this podcast without their generous support. We hope that you're all still here after the last week of discourse that we've had within our community.
Well, so far we haven't lost anybody.
We have not lost anybody.
So far, so that's good, I guess.
They love you guys. You guys are all good. They love you. It's all good.
Thanks for hanging around, y'all. But without further ado, let's get into the actual discussion of this episode. I was so excited. I almost forgot to do the housekeeping. We can't have that. That doesn't make good pod. Okay. So with all that being said, Kai, that's our ranking. How do you feel?
Okay, so I agree and disagree. So Breath of the Wild was the top?
Yes.
Really?
Tippy top.
Tippity top.
Oh, wow.
And you unanimously voted. We actually have 3 at the last episode when we recap a game and vote on where it ranks. We now do those episodes with 3 people so that we have a tiebreaker in the event that we need one.
So I have no discourse with, people, especially like new people coming into like the Zelda world, especially people who've never, played Zelda. Like, I feel like Breath of the Wild is a really good like icebreaker. And I say that in the sense of like it's again open world. It's a different, kind of like it's really hard to pinpoint. But I feel like it absolutely encompasses every gamer. In the sense of like, okay, yeah, it is a little bit open world. It's also like has categories of, the Zelda feel, but the crafting has to do with like, like the little bit of like the Dark Souls or Skyrim feel.
A little bit of survival mechanics in there, right?
It kind of takes everything in. But like for me, I'm, old school. Like, I love like Link to the Past was the first Zelda I ever played. And then, Ocarina of Time was the other one that really like got me into Zelda, Majora's Mask, and then, all those other ones. So I'm not surprised Breath of the Wild is the top, simply because we are coming to the age now where we're seeing a lot of new people coming in and experiencing Zelda for the first time.
Yeah. So I will say to your point, Matt was having a crisis of conscience for sure going into that voting episode.
I was.
Because his whole establishing premise for our Breath of the Wild season was that he felt that Breath of the Wild was a spectacular 10 out of 10 game. He just wasn't sure that it was a spectacular Zelda game.
I can completely relate with that.
And so going week to week, and I mean, actually, you kind of catch Kai up on your experience with what that was.
Yeah,
like.
I think that like for me, it was too obvious that Breath of the Wild was the next step in what Zelda is and will become, in the same way that Ocarina of Time was that in 1993 and
1998.
Why did I say 3? 1998. 93 was Link's Awakening.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1998. So like it shows what Zelda will be moving forward, and I think that as a next step in the evolution of what Zelda is, because Zelda has to evolve and change and grow, or else it stagnates, and anything that stagnates fails eventually. So when I kind of approached it in that way, it was taken as a 10 out of 10 video game, and also as, man, if this is where Zelda's going, I'm pretty much on board. Like 9.3 out of 10 on board. And I think that was really how it landed at the top for me, even though like my preconception about the game going into it was that like Zelda needs dungeons and Zelda needs items and Zelda needs et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
And also weapon durability makes Matthew want to pull his hair out.
We're not going to talk about weapon durability because we're not going to sidetrack that.
Me and Matt will go on a tangent for like 3 hours about weapon durability.
It's happened.
Terrible.
It's happened.
Oh yeah. Oh no, I'm right there, Matt. I'm right there.
Thank
with
you.
Like straight up, like me and Kyle. So straight up, like we got the. This isn't even like NDA. I don't give a crap. We we got the game a week early, right? And so we straight up shut every window in our house. Not even kidding. Shut up every window in our house. We did not see the light of day for a week because we got Breath of the Wild early, right? I had to like turn off like any sharing or like, I'm online playing, Breath of the Wild. I had to turn all that off. Play Breath of the Wild for a week. And like, we were so deep into it. We didn't talk to anybody. We didn't do anything. We just played this game. And Kyle and I both, like, playing it, we were so irritated because we were like, listen, I get the weapon breaking stuff. Okay, cool, awesome, like, great. But you should be able to have, like, either, like, some thing you have to work for to, like, make it not break. Like, you get, like, some, like,
experience points or investment opportunity or an upgrade
like an iron stasis to like your weapon where it's like it never breaks, or you get like some like, yes, you have to work for it. Cool, awesome.
And I completely agree with this, by the way. I'm very much of a mind about this. Yeah.
Yes, like I want it. Like Kyle and I both talked about it when we first played this years ago. We both said like, yes, get like a. Even if you have to go to like, deep into the mines of whatever to fight some dragon creature, whatever, to get like an item that like basically stops your weapon from breaking. That's what I want. Like that would have been fantastic.
Maybe like some mithril,
Get some Frodo armor. Like that's what we needed.
Kylie delved too greedily and too deep.
She awakened the Balrog.
Yes. Yes, the mithril. Oh.
God.
Oh my gosh. I love that you guys know my Lord of the Rings references. You know how to eat. This makes me so happy. Like, no joke.
Yeah. So I think that like Breath of the Wild coming on number 1 was actually probably the least flack we got. Currently, the debate is why is Skyward Sword above Wind Waker, and why am I specifically wrong about that?
Because so just some context here.
I'm mad about that.
Yeah, so this is tough because in the current list, I voted Link's Awakening and Wind Waker both over Skyward Sword and was outvoted.
Thank you.
And was outvoted
so both times. All right.
No, Lyndon is your people. I am not. I voted Skyward Sword above both of those.
Matt and the detective, our other voting partner, they both outvoted me both times.
Matt voted Skyward Sword above Wind Waker?
Yes. I did.
You're dead to me.
I did. I mean, look, see? That's the reaction that I got. So, yeah.
I'm kidding. So it's really funny talking about Skyward Sword. So I used to hate Skyward Sword. But the reason I hated it, listen, hold on.
It was the motion controls.
I say put your pitchforks down. Yes, because when I first played it, I played it with the really crappy Nothing connected. It was abysmal. Yeah. And I was so irritated because beyond that game was gorgeous.
For sure.
Oh my God. That game was beautiful. I loved like the little puzzles and stuff they did. The whole like little like Korok side thing where they like had like everything in that was. I'm saying I shouldn't say Korok, but like what were they? The
Kikwis.
Yeah,
Kikwis. Thank you. I was like, they're not Koroks, Kikwis. Yes, like everything in that was adorable. The thing that turned me off, and again, the first time I played it was with the crappy Wii remote. And when I played it again, when it was re-released, I was like, oh my God, I love this game. I actually love this game. Like, I was like, this is how I wish I would have played it the first time. Like, this game is beautiful. Like, I wish I would have had this experience the first time I played it.
So how recently? So I know you've played Skyward Sword HD very recently because it just came out within the last year. How recently have you played Wind Waker?
So I actually started playing Wind Waker again, but I'm playing like the old GameCube version because I'm an old person.
Hey, you and Detective Mike.
Yeah, Detective Mike also played the GameCube version. We both played the Wii U.
Yeah, I really like the old version. I actually played that game originally. Like, I beat it fully, like, GameCube version. I did the I did the Pictobox stuff. I did all of the side quests with Tingle. I did everything. I was super obsessed with it. Wind Waker is very near and dear to my heart. And like I would say it's mainly near and dear to my heart just because it was like one of the first games that I played with my little brother. It was his first Zelda. So we really bonded playing it together.
Well, I was going to say, and I know that you've told that story several times on the podcast before, and it's a great reason to have, because, and this is the thing about this list, right? Every voting member, everybody who plays these games brings so much personal baggage. Baggage sounds like a bad word. I don't mean it in a bad way.
No, it's not a bad. It's more of like, I take baggage as more of like a personal, like they have a personal connection to the game. Yeah. And so obviously, like, our list is very reflective of the fact that we've got a lot of people voting and playing on these games who feel varying levels of nostalgia for different ones, right? And obviously, you know, Matt was, so I love Skyward Sword. Matt was bringing in a lot of extra nostalgia for it, even on top of that for him. So that was a big part of it, right? I will say that, and I'm curious because because I know you say that you've kind of fired it up recently again, and are just sort of, I gather, playing it as the mood strikes, right? Yeah.
One of the things that we really noticed getting to the end of this season was that I think Wind Waker is a game that we were kind of shortchanging in a certain way by constraining it to a schedule the way that we do the podcast, you know? Because it's really a lot more of like a vibes game. It's like a sit down and play and chill game. And so that kind of colored everything a little bit too. But yeah, it's definitely, it's proving a little bit controversial. And I kind of knew that it would, because Wind Waker, I think, is by a lot of people considered to be one of the, like, it's certainly in the very top tier of Zelda games. I know a lot of the people that we had who were guests on this season personally had it at least in their top 5, some in their top 3. I don't think no one said it was number 1 for them, right, Matt?
I can't think of anyone.
No, I don't think anyone said it was number 1, but like very, very high up there for sure.
So for me, especially like Wind Waker, it's so tough for me to choose like a Zelda as like a top whatever, because like I played through all of them. And so it's really hard for me to like choose something as like a top. And it's like, you know, Majora's Mask had like a huge impact on me, and it was just more of a personal thing, not as just like itself as a game. Like, yes, I loved it as a game, but it was just like, it's just like more of those things as like, it's more nostalgia. Yeah,
for sure. And I'm sure a lot of it too, because I know that my ranking shifts a little bit over time. A lot of it's just down to mood, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Matt's nodding his head enthusiastically.
Yes, I'm trying to not interrupt the conversation as much, but yeah, like it's.
Now you were totally fine.
Yeah, it's very like there are times when I'm in a mood to play a dark and gritty game, and there are times when I'm in no headspace to play a dark and gritty game, and I need something light, and I need something that is not like a palate cleanser game, right? And like it's just it and one of the things we really talked about in the ranking episode was phase of life and like where we're at and how we engage with gaming in general. Having a lot less time these days than we used to just sit down and play games. And I know not everybody has that experience. That's one of the things we talked a lot about on our Discord as well, was like some people who can play 6 hours of video games in a day, or some people who can play 6 in a week. Like that's a very different life phase to be in.
Like?
And
damn, like
I know.
Yeah. I wanted to say, it's really funny because I as someone who is actually working in the gaming industry, like as a job constantly, we actually really don't have as much time to play games as you would think we would.
Well, and that's exactly me too. Because so I'm still at Bungie actually, and
no, we didn't know that. Nobody knew that, Lyndon.
I never mention it.
Well, congrats! I'm so happy for you.
Thank you. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I know last time we talked, it was like a very new thing.
I love Bungie, so you're great. Oh, I'm so happy for you.
Thank you. But it's definitely one of the weird things about yes, I help make a video game now, and it's one of my favorite video games, and it's like. But it's still a job, right? And so the myth of if you work in games, then all you're doing is playing games is no, there's still a job that's happening here, right?
Oh my God, exactly. And it's kind of how I feel. So obviously, you guys know I work for a bunch of different toy people and all that stuff, but I also work for Critical Role.
Yeah. So that's actually a really good thing, Kai. Could you take a second real fast for everybody who's newer to the pod since the last time you were on, which we do have a lot of those folks, will you just give everyone a reminder of what it is you do for a living?
So I am a product photographer / just product photographer. I think that's the best I can do.
There's a lot
diorama
more
creator, stager, nature photographer.
I kind of do a bit of everything. I kind of blanket it with saying product photographer, but I kind of do a bit of everything. Miniature photographer, I take pictures of small dioramas. I take pictures. I kind of do everything. It's so hard. Oh my gosh, I feel so awkward every time people ask me what do you do, and I'm like, everything.
And so obviously the first place that I became familiar with your work, and that a lot of people did, I think, is in your photography for some of the Good Smile Company and Figma releases of Zelda and Nintendo minifigures, right?
So I started. I did stuff for Nintendo, the Amiibo, the small little minifigures and stuff. And I started doing figures with the little Nindroids and stuff, which are done by Good Smile Company, which I now work for now. But now I do stuff for not only them, but Critical Role, which is the giant D&D badass group of people that I absolutely adore. I do all of their, I'm their official photographer for all of their content. So
yeah.
I went from tiny pictures of stuff to, I take pictures of stuff for Matt Mercer.
Yeah.
The end.
Yeah. Well, and it's cool that you can chart the trajectory of your career from you doing it so for fun and as a hobby, and then getting paid, and then getting paid to do successively bigger things.
Exactly. It's my full-time job now. And it's so crazy because it's I never in my life would have thought that my boss would be Ashley Johnson, Matt Mercer, Like, never thought that would happen.
Yeah.
And now here I am. And I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna barf.
But like, you go back long enough, and I know some of the first stuff you ever did that really caught on big was photography around the Good Smile Company release of like the Wind Waker Link figure, you know?
Yeah. Exactly. The little tiny
he's so cute.
I know, he's so cute. I love him. It started there, and they've hired me since. I'm actually creating sets for Anime Expo and their further expos later in the year, so you guys will see my work later on.
We always keep up with it. We really do. But all that,
you guys are so sweet.
It's so fun. It gives us that good brain chemical when we see it, you know. So now that everybody's got a refresher on what it is you do exactly for a career, kind of getting back over to Wind Waker and talking about like it just brought to
talk about my favorite game. Let's go.
Well, it brought to mind talking about that Good Smile release of the Wind Waker Link, right? It's so funny because those Good Smile figures are typically pretty like chibi-fied versions of characters that are not in that style naturally, right? But the Wind Waker Link is pretty much a very accurate portrayal of that character because that's just how the character looks, you know?
Absolutely. Like it's from game to figure, like accurate.
Yeah. And so where that's kind of leading me is asking you, and this is something that we actually asked all of our guests when they came on this past season, is obviously the art style for Wind Waker was one of the big controversial things about the game leading up to its release. Where have you always been with it? I mean, is it something that you have a lot of love for? Did you love it instantly?
So I know people were like pissed about it. They were like, really? Now for me, the cartoon style, I loved it. I loved it. Wind Waker, like, just hit my soul in, like, a different stance.
And I felt like that's what you were going to say because just kind of knowing you a little bit, that seems very on brand for you. Like, I figured, yeah.
It was cute. It was very, like, it was kind of, like, a little silly. And and the only thing, like, I can completely relate with the fans. Because like the fans were like, oh my God, like, you know, we're going to get this, this badass, like, you know, Link fighting like Dark Souls, like all this kind of stuff. And then we saw Wind Waker.
And so many people were so disappointed, but
they were like, what is this?
But there's been a big shift on that, right? But it's like, it's always so interesting to hear from somebody because most of the people we had on, you know, everybody kind of loves this now for the most part. But I think most of the people that
10 years, it took 10 years.
Yeah.
But I take it as like the same kind of thing as like what they did with Majora's Mask. Where like Majora's Mask was hated on a ton. And then now it's loved. And then Wind Waker is kind of the same thing. I have a few rapid fire questions that I want to ask you about Wind Waker, and we're just going to roll through them real quick. And I'm just curious what your off the cuff, like, quick responses are to these. Sound good? Yes. All here. Let's go.
Okay. Question number 1: King of Red Lions or Midna?
Why would you do this to me?
I came to play hardball, Kai.
They're not fun if they're easy.
This is rude. Like, I feel like you came at my heart. It would be Midna, straight up. I love her. I love King of Red Lions, but this is rude. I am upset. Okay, yeah, Midna, I'm sorry. Because, like, listen, I have been trying to get Good Smile to make a Midna Nindroid for, like, the last 6 months. Okay?
I'm shocked that that's not a thing.
It's gonna happen. I'm gonna make it happen, all right?
we support
thank you. Bless you guys. Yeah, no, Midna. I'm sorry, Midna. I love King of Red Lions. I do. He's my homie. But Midna. All right, next.
Question,
give me another.
Question number 2. All right. Favorite piece of music in the Wind Waker?
Ooh. Probably. It's not the Dragoon.
Dragon Roost Island.
Dragon Roost Island. Thank you. Yes, I was like, yeah, that's my favorite.
That was my favorite as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Question number 3. Mm-hmm. Favorite item in the Wind Waker.
Okay, are we talking outside of the one, like them like having the extra stuff? Like were they like, because they have like the extra sail and stuff? We're talking.
Oh, you know what? I'm gonna leave it open for you to interpret in whatever way that you want.
Okay. Personally, I love. This is gonna sound really silly. I really like the spoils bag.
Is it because it has a funny face on it?
Yes!
Yeah, there you go. I knew it.
It's so cute.
Kai, do you have a replica of the spoils bag? Do you like own one?
Yes. She does.
Yes,
Well, actually, that makes a lot of sense, though. I feel like in the grand scheme of Zelda replicas, that's actually
a useful one.
That's a good one. Yeah,
I like it. Fair
yeah,
enough.
I am a big fan of the spoils bag because it just looks like a monster mouth. He's just like, "Brr."
Yep. Absolutely.
Okay, question number 4. If you were going to sit down and over the course of a day or two play through the entirety of a Zelda game front to back without stopping, would you rather play The Wind Waker or Link to the Past?
Wind Waker.
Wow.
I know Link to the Past is like a big one for you, so I was thinking that was actually going to be kind of a tougher one than it was.
Wind Waker holds a very like legitimately. After I am done doing this, I'm gonna boot Kyle off of playing Overwatch, and I'm gonna play Wind Waker.
Did we get you in the mood?
Oh yeah, I love that game. Well, I told you guys I did a whole birthday party like around the.
Yeah, Matt still wants his Wind Waker party, by the way.
Yeah,
Okay,
I do.
Done. Tell me, when is your birthday, Matt?
October.
Crap. Okay, I'll plan now. I'm planning now.
Challenge has been given and accepted.
Yes.
Actually, Matt, I'm going to bounce that one to you, too, because this was not covered in our recap. Which one of those would you choose to play unbroken in one sitting?
Just those, between those two.
Between those two.
Man, that's kind of hard.
If you don't say Wind Waker, I'm gonna hit you.
I mean, I was gonna say the Wind Waker anyway, but now I have even more incentive to say Wind Waker. But yes, Wind Waker.
I violently made you pick Wind Waker.
Absolutely, that's how it is. That's
it's
how
worth mentioning that that's probably like a longer time investment, but
that was mostly my hesitation. Was like I could probably beat Link to the Past in less than a day, whereas the Wind Waker would probably take me more time.
So fun fact, I have beaten Link to the Past 45 times.
But who's counting, right?
Me.
Yeah. So and you could definitely beat it quickly.
I'm counting.
There you go.
I've beaten it on my Game Boy Advance. I've beaten it on like my Switch. I've beaten it on like my 3DS. Like I've beaten it on every like console I have had it. I've beaten it. So like it's like one of my favorite games to play. I know like I talk about Wind Waker like being my favorite, but it's one of those where it's just like mindlessly like I'm gonna play through Link to the Past because like I know where all of like the secrets are. I know where like all of like the little. It's just one of those things where it's just like very like methodical.
Like you could do it in your sleep.
Exactly.
A little bit.
And that's why like it's a comfort game for me.
Yeah. I think if I were to choose from the width and breadth of Zelda games, which one I would sit down and play unbroken, it would probably be Majora's Mask. I think would be the most fun to just do that.
That might be mine.
Through.
That might be mine too.
I would love that.
I get too stressed. I love Majora's Mask is my favorite Zelda, but I get too stressed playing it because I'm like, oh my god, the time.
Yeah.
And I get that for a lot of people, but for some reason it's never really bothered me. I actually kind of enjoy that mechanic of like I accomplish a bunch of things, then I go reset, accomplish a bunch of other things, and go reset. Like that. I don't know. It feels. I don't know. I like it personally.
It keeps it on like a timeline. So like the 3DS version really like helps with that. N64 version is like a little bit more scary.
That's true, yeah, because you have the whole bottom touch screen has like the time chart on it, so that's a good point, and something we'll need to consider when we go to play Majora's Mask.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so for me, it's actually a toss-up between Majora's Mask and Link's Awakening.
Yeah. Well, when you guys hit up Majora's Mask, please, because that's my favorite Zelda.
Don't you know
will
it?
definitely be there.
I own like 7 of the masks from that game.
That's awesome. Which ones?
Wait, what?
Which ones do you own?
So I have the Keaton, the Fierce Deity. I have the Skull Mask. I have the actual Majora's Mask. Oh goodness, I'm gonna have to look what else I have.
Do you have any of like the Deku, Goron, Zora, any of those?
I have the Deku. I do not have the Goron, but I have the. I think I have the. Oh my goodness, I'm completely spacing. The Zora. I think I have the Zora mask as well.
Okay, sweet. That's a collection. That's a collection right there.
I have a lot. I'll have to show that because I would say if we do a Majora's Mask, I'll pull them all out and you guys can record them like me transferring them and like all the different ones that I have.
Yes,
that sounds like good. That sounds like good Twitter material. I'm all about that.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Was that question 5 or 6?
I don't know. Ask me more. I'm all here for it.
Question 5 or
possibly 6. We don't know.
Possibly 6. Couldn't tell you. This one actually comes from one of our Discord members. This comes from Kolku, who asks, what is your favorite little nook or corner of the Great Sea? Doesn't have to be a whole island or setting. For example, Kolku's is the first peak on Outset Island before the bridge. I think he likes the view.
So this is talking about Wind Waker, right?
Yeah, Wind Waker. So is there any specific area on the Great Sea that you just love going to visit?
So do you guys know the Crescent? The little like Crescent. It's where you actually go to get onto the ghost ship.
Yeah, it's one of the areas. I think it's on the right or the left side of the map, I think.
Hold on, let me Google it.
I do know what you're talking about. I found it while I was
the Crescent
sailing around.
Is one of my favorites to go to because I love being able to hop onto the ghost ship. But the Crescent is it's such a Pirates of the Caribbean like feel. So that Crescent bit is one of my favorites. Crescent
Moon Island is it's grid space E1 in case anybody was wondering.
Yes.
Just a scenic little island right there on the Great Sea. There's a submarine over there too. So there you go. Actually, I don't think that's one we answered on the recap map, but what's this answer for you?
Oh man. Favorite area of the Great Sea. You know, actually, one of the favorite things that I did on the Great Sea, so I think it probably counts, is the boat race. So there's like the little obstacle course you can go around.
Yep.
On your boat.
Bad at that. I am so bad at that. I tried it. Oh my god, I was so bad at it. I failed every time. Oh, I was so bad at it.
I loved it.
And did you guys do like the like little squid game, like the splish? Like,
splish kaboom! Splish kaboom! Oh yeah, we did.
Yeah,
oh boy!
And I know I told you guys this. So like my for my brother's birthday, his 10th birthday, we built like a little like a board of that, and we put water balloons on it, and we drew like the squid stuff. So like you threw like darts at it for like it being like this, splash.
That's really awesome.
Yeah, but who made the noises though?
Me. I totally did. I was like splash. Like my brother laughed so hard. Like it was so funny. Yeah, I totally did that for him.
I think mine. I'm actually thinking about this now, and I'm having some trouble with it because there's a lot that are actually really cool. I really like the. I mean, it's hard not to say the cabana. The
cabana's pretty dope
because that's like straight up timeshare vacation accommodations.
It is, and you have to do you remember like the puzzle on the back wall. You have to like fill. Yep. Yeah.
That is such a vacation thing to do, right? Like. Like, I'm not in the mood to go back down to the beach just yet. I need an hour. I'm going to do a puzzle, right?
I'm going to do puzzle, and now I have full benefits for a timeshare.
It's a pretty good setup when you really think about it.
$30,000. I solved this slide puzzle. I get this for free.
Okay, so let's call it question number 7. I'm just going to make an executive decision and say this is number 7.
All right.
Yeah, love it.
You can only wear one outfit for the rest of your life. Is it the Wind Waker Link outfit, like the green, the tunic, the whole thing? Mm-hmm. Or is it the lobster shirt?
Lobster shirt, done.
Lobster shirt, absolutely. There's no question about that one. Lobster shirt is superior.
Listen, y'all. I have a tank top of the lobster shirt and a sweater.
And a sweater. Wow.
And a sweater. Listen, I sub to his superior lobster sweater stuff. I'm sorry. Listen, Link tunic is fine. All right, it's great. Cool. Awesome. Good for you. Lobster sweater and his... I loved it so much, I bought a tank top and a sweater.
I feel like there's a lobster shirt size hole in my wardrobe that needs filled ASAP, so I need to get on that.
Well, there you go. Your birthday's coming up, so
my birthday is coming.
Put that on the list.
Now I know what to get you guys.
Just identical lobster sweaters.
Yeah.
Love it.
And if I don't see an awesome twinning picture of you guys wearing it, I'm going to be upset.
Well, you absolutely would see that immediately.
We need to get the same lobster shirt and then take a picture of both of us standing next to each other at the end of the hallway, like The Shining.
Like all three of us just in an awkward it's just like some creepy music done. Oh, I'm so down.
That's awesome.
It's just the Shadow Temple music in the background. All
yes,
about it.
Yes, please.
Oh, excellent. Okay, question number 8. You can own either an actual working, magical ass version of either the Ocarina of Time, the Goddess Harp, or the Wind Waker baton. Which one do you take?
Wind Waker baton.
Ocarina of Time, if it's actually a working thing that I can use to teleport and control the flow of time.
Imagine how cool it would be, though, for you to be able to control the pattern of the wind.
How would that help me in everyday life?
Listen. You got the Wind Waker. Okay, listen. You can control the seas. The sea and the wind.
But I live in a landlocked state.
But you could make so much money by moving to a tropical location and becoming the god of people who are on sailboats.
Or I could use the Ocarina of Time to just go back in time and make better decisions financially.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'll look. I can just go mine cryptocurrency and get out scot-free and make lots of money.
You could go back in time and make $100,000 on one NFT before they completely tank.
Exactly. Yeah, man, that'd be so easy. Are you kidding me?
Okay, he has a point. All right, Matt, you win. I get it.
Yeah, and also instant travel sounds pretty cool to
I know. I was saying,
points.
As a Wind Waker, I could God damn it, Matt.
Okay, so question number 9, and I've got 10 of these. Question number 9.
All right.
You have got an option to either do what actually happens at the end of the game, where Hyrule below the sea is flooded, and the Great Sea is just where everyone lives, or you can drain the Great Sea and restore Hyrule to the version that it used to be. What do you pick?
Ooh, that hit me in my soul.
I have a follow-up question, maybe a clarifying question.
All right, Matt, go ahead. Before
Will Ganondorf be alive or dead in both scenarios?
Ganondorf is defeated no matter which one you do.
Okay.
I don't know. Okay, listen, before Matt, what is your decision?
I would totally restore Hyrule because what's stopping you from just bringing everybody that lives on the Great Sea down to Hyrule, and then you still have all the islands that are the Great Sea just on top of the mountains now. So
Right.
You have to sort of like hike up to them.
yeah, like you get all of it. You get both things. There's no losing in this situation.
Right. That's actually where I was going to. I was just waiting for Matt to say it before I did.
She wants me to say the controversial things.
I did. I was like, I'm too scared. I was like, I'm going to let Matt make the controversial.
She wants me to hoist myself on my own petard and then just follow along. It's just, Matt said it first.
Matt said it first. Matt, I agree with you. It's fine.
Lyndon, what would you do?
Yeah.
I would. I would probably restore Hyrule as well. Honestly,
Okay,
if all things were equal and nobody was going to die, then yes, I would do that.
Yeah, because like that was never really clarified of why can we not restore Hyrule? Is that going to like wipe out everyone who lives on the Great Sea? If so, then no, don't restore Hyrule. But like if that is not the case, if literally you're just taking away the water and now you have viable land again, that just seems like a good thing. So I don't know what the problem is with that. Personally, I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something there, but
I don't think you are. I think we're all on a page about this. Okay. This brings me to question number 10. Kai.
Yes.
Medley or Makar?
Oh, my car.
Really?
whoa.
He's my little
He actually is a Korok.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's my little plant baby. I love that when you said that, my dog came in and like nuzzled me. He was like, oh, excuse you, Nox. Come here.
Yeah. Makar does have the cute factor of being tiny, and also Kylie, who's a plant mom.
Yeah,
does love the
do you
plants.
think I wouldn't pick Makar? Like, come on.
Makar actually does have like a far more interesting musical instrument to me too. His little fiddle is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a little leaf fiddle.
I have a
I
miniature
like
of it, and it is adorable. Yeah, Makar is my god, he's my little baby boy.
Has Makar ever made it into a photo shoot of yours?
Oh, many. I'll send you pictures.
Please do. I can't wait. Okay, that's our 10-question lightning round on the Wind Waker. Thanks for doing that with us, Kai. That was a really good little time. I mean, look, I will say that I'm very excited to go back and replay this game whenever it actually does drop on the Switch, and I think we all feel that way. So
you guys are probably like me, where we want Wind Waker and Twilight Princess to drop on the Switch, right?
Absolutely, tomorrow would be great.
I'm just over here wishing, like, seriously, if I have to sit down in front of a TV to play Twilight Princess when we get there, and I can't play it in bed, I'm gonna be upset.
Oh yeah. No, I literally have been so upset.
Seems like easy money to me, but what do I know? I'm not Nintendo.
I know. So here's the thing. I guarantee in the times that I've worked for Nintendo, they're going to it's going to be like 3-4 months from now. They'll be like, oh, hey, here's these games. And you're going to be like, God damn it.
In the middle of the night.
Yeah, in the middle of the night. They're going to be like, oh, hey, by the way, here's these games. That's how they do it.
Exactly. Like there'll be a tweet. We'll all wake up to a tweet and they'll be like, hey, by the way, y'all, I think we're about ready to get this thing wrapped up. But before we do get out of here, I just want to give you an opportunity real quick to drop your socials and just tell everybody where they can follow you and your work, because I know that you're working on new and interesting stuff all the time. So please, tell our listeners where they can give you a follow.
Of course. So I am Captain Dangerous on Instagram. I am Dangerous Pixels on Facebook, and I am Cap Dangerous 64 on Twitter. Yeah. So that's really where I'm at the most. I don't really have any other channels besides that. So yeah.
Cool. Well, absolutely. Captain Dangerous on socials. Go give Kai a follow. She does amazing work. Seriously, we really appreciate you coming back on and having a little catch-up conversation. It's really been too long, and we had a great time talking to you.
2 hours later.
Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking with us during that discussion with Kylie. It's always great to have her on and to talk to her. We know that everyone's really excited to talk about this news that came during the Nintendo Direct, but still feel like we had a great chat there, and definitely a great little episode and great conversation. But with all that being said, we did have a Nintendo Direct today, and as said at the top of the show, Matt and I allocated some time to come in and talk about everything that was revealed there. So here's what I think we should do, Matt. I think that we should talk about Tears of the Kingdom last. Does that sound good to you?
Well, yes. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, cool. So let's get into one or two things that were sort of dropped aside from the Tears of the Kingdom news. And there really were quite a few things that excited me very personally in this Direct. Not all of it was Zelda related. A lot of it was Zelda related. But, there were definitely some things that were not underneath the Zelda umbrella that I still thought were pretty great. Of course, I think the big news besides Tears of the Kingdom that people are going to be so super excited about is going to be the addition of Game Boy and Game Boy Advance to the Nintendo Switch Online service offering. I mean, this was a big moment, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was huge. I know we were texting during, and as soon as the Game Boy thing came up, we were both just like, "Oh, there it is! Finally!"
Because I feel like this has been one of those things that has been talked about forever. There have been some leaks, like we know that, like we knew this was going to happen at some point. And we knew that Nintendo was just waiting for whatever Nintendo reason to release this, and that time has now come. So the good news here is that it is not just Game Boy, it is Game Boy and Game Boy Advance both, and they're both available right now. Like as we speak, you can go download them and play those games.
Yes, and unfortunately for us, we are not about to play Minish Cap, so it doesn't help us right this moment, but the upcoming seasons will be so much easier now that we don't have to go hunt down Game Boy Colors and Game Boy Advances and Game Boy SPs to make all that stuff happen.
Well, and so much easier for everybody who follows along with our show, right? I mean, Minish Cap was always going to be one of the ones where, I mean, even with the Oracle games, I wouldn't say those are like easily obtainable at the moment, but at least at least if you had a 3DS and some notice, you were able to snag those on the 3DS eShop before the service went down, right? But
which I know you and I both did.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I guess it turns out for no good reason at this point. But hey, that's fine. We had no way of knowing. So, but yeah, with Minish Cap, it's very much a different story, right? It was not available a la carte on the 3DS eShop. It was available on the Wii U. But how many people have Wii U's lying around easily accessible, And then aside from that, your only real options were either emulation or to try and track down either a bootleg Game Boy Advance cart or a legit copy of the game, which those run into the hundreds of dollars now. And of course, you have to have a Game Boy Advance platform to play it on. So this is huge, obviously. Minish Cap, I think, is one that people just being able to easily get in and play that on the Switch is gonna result in a lot of ongoing conversation about that game. A lot of people re-examining it and finding that it's just a nice, charming little adventure.
Yeah, I'm very excited to have that readily available and for more people to play it along with us now. I think this is, and as we've said a lot, it's only a good thing to continue backwards compatibility, like just in general. There's really no downside to having these older games available, ready to play, easily accessible. There's really no downside. And I think it's a huge win for Nintendo to be continuing to push that forward. Xbox is also on the leading edge of that. PlayStation, not so much, but it's good to see some of the larger companies in gaming really investing in making sure that their catalog, all the way back, as far back as they can feasibly make it, is available to enjoy to this day. And I think that's a really good thing.
Yep, couldn't agree. And of course, we did mention the Oracle games. Those were specifically mentioned as coming to the Game Boy service in the future. They are not in the first slate of games that are dropping with that service. Link's Awakening DX is, and so that's obviously really great news for anybody who enjoys going back and playing the basically original version of Link's Awakening. I'm not sure that that's something that I'm gonna ever do again necessarily now that we have the Switch version, and I love that master of the game so much, but it's still great to have it accessible in that way. And yeah, Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons will be coming to the service as well at some future point. In the past, when they have kind of done this thing where they said, hey, you can play all these games today, and then here are games that we're going to be adding later. That usually happens over the span of several months rather than like several days or weeks. So I would say there's a pretty good chance that we could probably expect those to show up anytime between now and June-ish. It's going to be just a little while, but they typically don't sit on those things for too terribly long. So just a little patience, and they'll be here. Then, of course, there are some games that I'm actually really excited to play that are coming along with all of this as well that are not Zelda, right? Like Super Mario Land, 6 Golden Coins. I loved when I was a kid. Kirby's Dream Land, I loved when I was a kid. On the Game Boy Advance, that actually is going to be bringing with it Metroid Fusion, which I have never had a chance to play, and I'm really excited to do.
No, I think that there's a lot of really good Mario games also that are coming via those services. I don't know. None of the Pokemon games were mentioned, which I find kind of interesting. I'm assuming that probably has something to do with Pokemon being almost like a sub studio, but hopefully some of those make it back around. I'd love to see Gold and Silver, Ruby and Sapphire, stuff like that land on the Switch. That would be, I think, a lot of fun to play. And now that I think about it, we have the Pokemon, the picture one, the Nintendo 64 Pokemon.
Pokemon
Snap. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's on Switch, or is it Coliseum? I don't know. I think there's a Pokemon game from the Nintendo 64 era that is on the Switch already. So I was a little bit surprised not to see.
Yeah, Snap is on there, and I think Pokemon Stadium is supposed to drop sometime soon. They said it was coming, and it hasn't showed up yet. So, yeah. That being so, yes, I'm definitely very interested at the exclusion of Pokemon Red, Blue, Yellow, Gold, Silver, Ruby, Sapphire. All of those, Emerald, like those seem like gimme titles, but at the same time, usually when new things are revealed for Pokemon, they're done in specific Pokemon Directs. I think they call them Pokemon Showcases, just because Game Freak exists, like, even though they are partners with Nintendo, they exist a little bit outside of the orbit of the traditional Nintendo organization. And so I know that the common knowledge is that there's supposed to be another one of those specialized Pokemon Directs in the front half of the year to announce things like DLC for Scarlet and Violet and whatever else they're working on under the Pokemon umbrella right now. I would not be surprised if there was like an announcement of like, hey, all of the Pokemon titles for Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance are being added to those services like on this day, because it's just wild to me that they just would never show up there,
Right. Yeah. So, I think that's a good point.
Yeah. But with all that being said, so I know I mentioned Metroid just a minute ago. That brings us to one of our other really fun reveals from this Direct, which is obviously not Zelda related, but is a huge deal for anybody who's been following the affairs of Nintendo online for any span of time now. We finally got an announcement that Metroid Prime Remastered is coming to the Switch and is in fact available on the Switch, I think right this very second. They said it was coming today. So that's humongous news. There's been no easy official way to play that game in a very long time. And it's been kind of one of those things where people just knew, like, it's been leaked so much. Nintendo just has it sitting on a shelf somewhere. They're just waiting for the right time to drop it. And apparently today was that time. So Metroid Prime, go get into it. I've never played it.
Especially it being a remaster. Yeah, I'm sorry. Especially it being a remaster instead of just like a, drop into a virtual console. Man, That is awesome, and I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, there were some awesome things that they mentioned about the remaster too, like the fact that it has native twin stick support, which is great. Obviously, a lot of older FPS games on Nintendo systems feel a little clunky nowadays just because of the single stick that the controllers had. But adding support for dual sticks is definitely a great way to sort of modernize those experiences. And then, of course, the elephant in the room is that Metroid Prime 2 and 3 were not announced as being something that's coming. This is a little bit surprising because all 3 games were released as a package deal on the Wii U. And so I think people just assumed that the same was going to happen here. It did not, but I think it's pretty fair to say that the strategy for Nintendo going forward is that they're just going to drip feed us these 3 games and use that as a way to kind of fill the gap between now and whenever Metroid Prime 4 drops.
Yeah, I think it's also fair to say that, like, I mean, we all know that remastering games takes a huge amount of effort and work, right? Like it's been explained to me as like sometimes it can be almost as much work as making a whole new video game. So, I'm not necessarily shocked that they weren't all 3 ready all at the same time. They're probably just prioritizing or having a small team work on it, or and like you said, drip feeding that is just a good way to stretch that out, and it gives them something to drop at a Nintendo Direct in the future that could generate hype, and it's good marketing ploy, if anything, or if nothing else.
Yep. No, I agree. I definitely agree. Is there anything else that you feel that we need to touch on before we get on to Tears of the Kingdom? I know that there were some other big things that I know people have been waiting for here. The Advance Wars remaster, a lot of people like that series, and it got pushed back quite a lot due to the invasion of Ukraine, of all things. Nintendo felt like it was insensitive to release the game around the time that was happening. But I guess we're far enough away from that now to where they're comfortable dropping it. So we now have an official release date for that. But yeah, I don't know. Pikmin 4 was what kind of started the whole presentation. I have no history with Pikmin at all, so that doesn't really do anything for me. But again, that's one of those Nintendo entries that I know has its fan base and people do get excited about. Yeah, no,
I'm on the same page there. I don't think that really anything else in the Direct really caught my personal fancy. But I know some folks in our Discord were really excited about some of the other things that were going on, but didn't hit me in that particular way. So I think I'm good to move on to the main event.
Okay. Well, obviously, the one that we were all wondering if we were going to see at this show was Tears of the Kingdom. Everybody's got questions. Is it still coming out May 12th? How much does it cost? What is the actual story of this game that we're going to be playing? What are some of the mechanics and whatnot? And so it's interesting because we definitely got more Tears of the Kingdom. I don't know that we got answers to all of those questions. I feel like there's still a lot of information that we're due to be told about this game before it's actually in our hands and ready to play. That being said, so what we did get was another trailer. This one was more full than the last ones we've gotten. I feel like each trailer for this game has gotten successively longer and longer and shown us just a little bit more. We did get voiceover in this one from another character.
Presumably Ganondorf.
I can only assume is Ganondorf, right?
Yeah.
And so and that voiceover was it was in the trailer along with new shots of that like dehydrated Ganondorf corpse that we've seen in other ones.
Yeah, there was even a shot of him where it looks like he was standing up and like using magic to raise the ground. Like, I don't know if you caught that.
I did. Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah.
I did.
So it looks like that and reanimated corpse is not going to be a dehydrated corpse for too terribly long, or at least not permanently.
Yeah. So that being said, it definitely still remains to be seen exactly what the storyline of this game is. We don't have really very much to go on here, other than it seems like this evil presence is threatening Hyrule with complete extinction.
Yeah.
There definitely seems to be a renewed army of like evil critters that are kind of scouring the land. And as we've seen in past trailers, the land of Hyrule itself seems to be in a decent amount of like physical geographic upheaval. the raising of all these islands into the sky definitely seems to have like changed the topography of the kingdom a little bit. I was actually looking through the trailer and just trying to pick out like landmarks, you know, and try to get
a lot of them. I don't see a lot of them.
I mean, it's so there are some that I couldn't see. Like there's a shot of Link looking down on Hyrule Castle with like whatever that red malice junk is coming out of it. And you can see actually a lot of the Breath of the Wild map from there. Link's basically looking down directly above the Death Mountain area towards Hyrule Castle. And so you can see Kokiri, or not Kokiri Forest. You can see the Korok Forest off to the north. You can see Hebra, you know, you can see the Great Plateau, the Gerudo region, all that. I did not see
at about 22 seconds, you can see one of the Labyrinth Islands. So that was neat.
Oh, really? Because I was actually trying to see if I could pick out the Lome Labyrinth in that shot I was just talking about, the one that's over off by Hebra, and I couldn't see it. So
no, go to 22 seconds and you can see the one that's off of the Akala region.
Okay, cool. So that's interesting. We definitely have got a few shots of some very interesting, like there's some dark forested looking areas that have some vaguely like fungal looking.
I'm looking at that right now.
Plant life. I'm not sure where in the world that's supposed to be. And there are several shots where we can see landscapes that have what look to be structures the same size as Sheikah Towers, but they definitely don't look like Sheikah Towers.
Like at the very beginning.
Yeah.
I thought that they were Sheikah Towers where like the whatever pedestal the Sheikah Towers sit on, they're like lit up like with the spotlights coming out from the bottom. I think they are Sheikah Towers.
It's interesting. It's hard to get a clear look at any of this because it all goes by so quickly. We get a really sweeping shot of Hateno Village. There's a shot where you can see it's looking from the Hateno Ancient Tech Lab down towards the town. So that definitely looks to be a place that we can go again. We see the Great Bridge of Hyrule, which has a very evil looking critter chilling out on it.
Yeah, like a 3-headed dragon.
Yeah, it's
fire.
So someone in our Discord just said, "Is that a
Gleeok?"
Yeah, is that a Gleeok? I was like, could be.
Well, that could be. We're doing adventure. We're doing Legend of Zelda OG callbacks. Yeah, in that case.
Yeah, I'm always down for that. We see Redeads in this trailer.
Oh, yeah. Very excited about those.
Yes. But basically, from a mechanics standpoint, it's very interesting because it seems like we're seeing interesting variations on the kind of stuff that we used to be able to do with the Sheikah Slate. It looks to me like Link is controlling all of this with his, like, whatever's happening to his arm, you know?
Robot arm. Yeah.
Yeah. And we see looks at several different of those new abilities. There's like a very big, much to my disdain, one of these shots was like a look at what I can only assume is a motion puzzle.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's at 1:30. At 1 minute and 30 seconds, it looks like just a giant motion-based shrine puzzle. So I really hope that those are less of a pain in the butt than they were in Breath of the Wild. By far, one of the most interesting shots in the whole trailer was we see the torso of a young woman, it looks like, wearing a dress and wearing jewelry that is very kind of primitive looking. It's a very similar aesthetic style to a lot of the architecture that we've seen in other trailers and to stuff that Link is wearing, to Link's arm. It definitely seems to be a style for this game. I know people have kind of speculated, like, is this an ancient goddess thing? Is this the Zonai? What is it? So is this Zelda? I'm not sure. It seems to be intentionally obfuscating the identity of this person. But the immediate next shot is their hand grasping Link's robot hand. So very interesting. What this really all just kind of gets down to is that we still have no idea what the story of this game is, really, like what the narrative that it's telling is.
Yeah, so I'm rewatching that now. That's at 1 minute 33 seconds for anybody who's wondering what we're talking about. I watched it, this is like my 4th or 5th time watching this. I just thought that was Zelda the whole time until you said that it's not explicitly Zelda, and you're right, it's not explicitly Zelda. But Wow. Yeah. Okay. That gives a whole new light on that. One thing that at 1 minute 41 seconds, Link is driving a tractor, so that's pretty cool.
Well, yeah, it's so interesting. So yeah, he's got
driving a car.
He got this tractor, and I do think it is worth mentioning the front two wheels of this car tractor thing that he's on. Those are definitely lizard heads from like Zonai ruins that you can find around Hyrule. So
for sure.
Lending even more credence to the fact that the Zonai culture is somehow related to the plot of this game. Then you go another few frames past that, and you can see what looks like a dirigible of some kind, some sort of hot air balloon like device. And then you go even one more past that, and you can see Link.
He's flying a drone.
Yeah,
and it looks like he's flying it towards a traveler from Destiny 2, like that giant sphere thing.
Oh yeah. I see that way off in the distance.
1 minute 44 seconds. Yeah, he's flying towards a sphere.
Yeah, that looks like it's connected to another island, and I'm wondering if the dungeons in this game are like sky islands, and that's the way that they separate those things. A few frames past that, we do see some recognizable landmarks, like you can see Link riding a horse towards the dueling peaks. It definitely appears that we're going to be spending time in the Hyrule that we have already come to know in this game, or at least a version of it. Of course, this all ends with some voiceover from Zelda saying she doesn't think we can defeat him, assuming him to mean Ganondorf, yeah. But the last line of the trailer is, "Lend him your power," which I'm not sure what that means.
Or who she's asking that of.
Yeah. And then we get one more shot of, so it's the shot we've already seen of Zelda falling into a chasm, just from a different angle. Like it's a side shot, and Link is kind of jumping after her. So,
and man, like it makes me terrified that Zelda's going to die at the beginning of this game, and that seems more and more likely.
I mean, I guess anything is on the table.
Like we know Link doesn't die because he is in the rest of the game.
Yeah.
He loses an arm. Well, so I don't know. Like I think there's a lot of speculation worthiness of Zelda dying, and then, that princess or the goddess or whatever could be Zelda's spirit, or the reincarnation of Zelda's goddess spirit.
Link's arm in this shot where he's reaching for her is
all crusty.
Yeah, it's completely blasted, it looks like, and it's notably not covered in the robot like architecture looking stuff that we see most of the game. It seems that he seems to have on. So I think the theory is pretty good that this is probably a cutscene from the beginning of the game. Like this is maybe the establishing premise of the game, but we'll definitely have to wait and see. The release date, like we've already said, was confirmed. May 12th, 2023. At this point, I don't think a delay is likely.
I don't think it's,
I think
I doubt it.
Yeah, I think if they were going to do it, then they would have done it here. I do think that what we can look forward to now is an actual Tears of the Kingdom focused showcase sometime between now and release, because I think at the very least what they're going to want to do is talk about, like with Breath of the Wild,
the mechanics changes. Yeah,
they had talked about core mechanics and the way that the game basically functions and like the overall premise of the game. Like there was a lot of press coverage around the Great Plateau, for instance, before Breath of the Wild actually dropped. And so I have a hard time imagining that this is the last we're going to see of this game before it drops in May. So definitely stay tuned for more stuff on that. I am kind of looking around. So it does appear that the price for the game is $70. I think we're getting a $10 price increase on this one.
Yeah. So I'm going to say, while I wouldn't be surprised if there are more, Tears of the Kingdom things coming out, I kind of hope that there isn't, just because I'd like to go into this with minimal explanation. And the reason I say that is because I feel like they had to do the amount of explanation that they did with Breath of the Wild because it was such a radical departure from standard Zelda. So they had to prep everybody for that, right? And they had to really get it in front of it and construct the narrative and push the narrative. It seems like the core mechanics of open world exploration, inventory, and item management. Like, it seems like most of that is going to be more or less the same. So I don't necessarily think that there's as much of a need to control the narrative surrounding it. And my fear of more coming out rather than less from Nintendo is spoilers about, you know, even just the very beginning of the game. Like you said, if this is the establishing shot, like, you know, speculation is fine, but I don't want it to be confirmed that Zelda dies, right? Like, I don't want them to confirm that or anything. So I don't know. I think it would be a good thing to, you know, let it come out. Maybe put out a statement about, you know, Tears of the Kingdom is a direct sequel to Breath of the Wild. Many of the core gameplay mechanics will be the same or similar to what you experienced in Breath of the Wild. We look forward to you engaging in this world and in a meaningful way, much like you did with Breath of the Wild. And we hope you all enjoy it. Like,
I mean, I understand where you're coming from. I really do. I'm telling you, there's just, especially from a marketing standpoint alone, there's next to 0% chance that this is the last hurrah for Tears of the Kingdom marketing before the drop of the game. Like, I think
for sure.
I expect the momentum to increase from here and not to decrease. You know, it is Zelda. People are incredibly excited for this game, and in some ways it will sell itself. But Nintendo's still going to be pushing it pretty hard. So I definitely think you are right. I don't think they want to show their hand too much before we get the game in our hands, nor should they, nor do I want them to. But yeah, we're definitely going to be getting the lines filled in just a little bit more before we actually get this in our hands. I did just want to say one or two other things. For one, if you go to Nintendo's UK site for Tears of the Kingdom, they do have an image gallery that has some high-res stills from the trailer that you can actually kind of zoom in on and collect a few details. So that's pretty nice. It does look to me like we were right. The Sheikah slate does not appear to be on Link's hip for this game. Also, I'm checking a Twitter thread over here. Let's see. Oh, I actually just lost it. Where'd it go? Somebody had posted pictures of of some Zelda marketing images that showed that one of the things that you're going to be able to customize in this game is actually your glider, which is a big deal because I don't think we'd actually seen Link using a glider in any of the promotional material before. Like, it was a pretty good bet that we were still going to have it, but it's a slightly different looking glider than before, but the actual sailcloth part of it you can customize. Like, there's a version that looks like your sailcloth from Skyward Sword. There's a version that looks like Majora's Mask. There's one that looks like the Hylian hood that you can get in Breath of the Wild. So it looks like there's a little bit of fun customization that's going to be happening there. And of course, we are going to get a new Link amiibo that's going to drop with Tears of the Kingdom. And they have said that the game will have amiibo support in some way. There's also going to be a collector's edition that comes with a hard shell metal case of the game. And then a few extra odds and ends, looks like an art book, maybe a pin set. So yeah, don't know if I'm going to be going for that one myself necessarily. I have enough kind of gaming tchotchkes laying around the house, but we'll see. We'll see how I'm feeling.
Don't we all?
Yeah.
Don't we all?
Yeah.
My gosh.
Yeah. But all that is to say, definitely a very interesting trailer. My hype for this game is reaching critical levels. I'm very excited for it. Did you want to talk for 1 second about what you brought up right before we got on to start recording, Matt?
Yeah, so I've seen a couple reactions by people, mostly content creators that I follow on Twitter, where they're saying, like, Tears of the Kingdom feels kind of off. And don't know what it is, can't put a finger on it, but it feels different. The tone feels odd, and it just feels weird. And I wanted to just kind of talk about that, where in some ways I agree, but also I think that that's intentional. Like, it is very obvious that Tears of the Kingdom is going for a much darker tone than really anything we've seen probably since Majora's Mask. And one thing that I think really sets off this uncomfortable, different feel is the mechanical sounding musical note that plays like around the 120 or not the 120, the one, but when the title drops, that is 150. So once it starts playing around 150 and it gets that weird, almost fee noise sounding, but in a minor key. And it's just like, it's not rhythmic. It's very off-putting. And I think that is one of the main things that, like, the feeling that conveys, I think, is strewn throughout the trailers that we've seen so far. And it's a feeling of just creepiness and asyncopation and arrhythmic, and it's very, like, off-putting and unsettling. And I think that's very intentional, and I think that's going to set us up for a very dark game that is going to be hopefully as challenging combat-wise as it appears to be tonally wise. So I don't know. I think that's my 2 cents on it. But I don't know if you have any other thoughts.
No, yeah, I think honestly, and some of this too is that, like, watching the trailer and it's like its low res version that was posted. Like, it's definitely not the prettiest looking trailer in the world when you go watch it on YouTube, but when you go look at some of these screenshots in high res on the site, it really is actually pretty gorgeous. I think a lot of what that feeling is, the feeling of like, hey, something feels just a little off about this. I think that for one thing, we're taking that kind of techno future aesthetic from Breath of the Wild to even, like, greater heights in this game, which I understand how that might feel a little off-putting to some people, just as we're getting further and further away from the strict Renaissance fair fantasy only vibe of classic Zelda. The other thing is, though, that I think, in some ways it's a little hard to escape the knowledge that this game was originally just DLC for Breath of the Wild. And so the question now is there enough new here to justify it being its own separate game? And I personally am not worried about the answer to that question. I think that the extra 6 years taken to get it to this point say that, look, there's a lot extra here, I'm sure. And I'm still of the opinion that there's some kind of split in the game in some way. Like, I'm looking through these screenshots again, and there's several more shots in here of, like, the outfit that we assume Link is wearing from the first trailer, where it's much different. It's like sandals with, like, a little tunic, like a half tunic that he's wearing. His hair is long. He's got much more primitive looking weapons. And I'm still pretty convinced that there's some sort of, I don't know if it's a timeline jump, like you jump between past and future. You play between 2 different characters or incarnations of Link. I have no idea what's going on here, but it's very intentionally, like, it was kind of like when the marketing for Avengers Infinity War or Avengers Endgame kicked off, and, like, a few shots showed Scarlett Johansson with her Infinity War haircut, but then she had, like, a much different and obviously, like, longer haircut in the rest of them, and you were just kind of like, people were picking it apart and they were all like, oh, there's probably a time jump in this movie, after which, like, her hair looks different,
Right.
It's kind of like that. So what exactly that all entails, I don't think it's just a simple outfit change, but you know what, we'll see. This is the fun, like, theorizing about all of this is one of the things that's the most fun about the lead up to the release of a new game. So, but all that is to say, I think that any concerns about whether or not this is going to be justifiable as being an entirely new SKU, like an entirely new game, I don't think we really have anything to worry about, honestly.
Yeah, I'm not concerned about a lack of content, given the 7 years that it's been between, between games. So I'm not concerned about a lack of content making this stand out as its own worthiness of being its own game.
Yeah,
for sure.
Cool. All right. Well, did you have anything else you wanted to say about this before we get out of here?
You know what? I do not. I think I'm good. We had a lot to cover, as I think we suspected but didn't know. But glad we had that much to talk about. It was a really good direct, and I know some people who are hardcore Nintendo fans, even than you and I, outside of Zelda, have a lot more to be excited about as well. So just really solid, and I love getting these. I wish they'd give us more than a day's notice.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, you can't let the hype consume you. If they tell you a week in advance, you let the hype peter out over that week. There's something crazy about like, ooh, 24 hours, here we go. I enjoy it. I enjoy it for what it is. But yeah, all that is to say, definitely go give that trailer a watch. Join in the discussion online if theorizing and headcanon and trying to piece these things together is your deal. Obviously, if you want to remain completely unspoiled, then you do you, boo. There continues to be excellent conversation around everything that's been revealed so far in our Discord channel, and definitely encourage you to go check that out as well. But with all of that being said, I think time to get out of here for this one. Matt and I will catch all of you guys next week in episode 1 of season 8, talking about our first little section of A Link Between Worlds. Appreciate you taking this episode a day later than you normally get it, and hope the wait was worth it, so that we could break down a little bit of this new information.
Yep, absolutely. It was a good one.
And with all that being said, let's get into the outro. If you enjoyed today's show and you would like a little extra Sacred Realms in your life, you can head over to patreon.com/sacredrealmspod and become a patron. If you've got no rupees, it is not a problem. 5-star Apple Podcast reviews are a great free way to support us. More reviews means that more people see our show, and that makes us very happy. Hylians. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Sacred Realms Pod for updates on the podcast and for behind-the-scenes action. Sacred Realms will be back next Wednesday with our thoughts on the beginning chapters of A Link Between Worlds. We would love for you to play along with us and to share your thoughts on our social channels. A Link Between Worlds can be played on the Nintendo 3DS family of systems, which I actually last week said that it was exclusive to the Nintendo 3DS. That's not entirely accurate. It is playable on anything within that. So Nintendo 3DS, 2DS, there's a few things within that family you can play it on. But and then, of course, I believe it is possible to emulate the game on some platforms, but we have been hearing that is somewhat challenging on newer Mac computers. So best of luck to you if that's the way that you're trying to do it. But in the meantime, may your hearts be full, may your arrows never miss. We'll catch y'all next time. Sacred Realms is an independent podcast production, which is produced, edited, and mixed by me, Lyndon Willoughby. Our music comes from Zelda and Chill by Mikkel and is graciously provided to us by Mikkel and Game Chops Records. Zelda and Chill is available to stream on Spotify or to purchase directly from GameChops.com. Finally, our thanks go to Nintendo for creating such exceptional and innovative experiences.